Russia, 2012, a Russian grandma heard loud crying and whimpers outside of her home. Confused, she quickly ran outside to see what was going on. There, she was met with the grisly scene of a Eurasian wolf covered in blood while eating one of the grandma's baby cows. These wolves aren't like normal ones due to the Bergmann's rule. This rule states that animals in colder regions evolve larger body sizes to stay warm. A male Eurasian wolf. Animals in colder regions evolve larger body sizes to stay warm. A male Eurasian wolf weighs anywhere from 150 to 170 pounds. With that being said, any normal person would probably just lock themselves in their house and call police officers or something. But the grandma was unfazed. Her people have survived Soviet winters, food shortages, and probably World War II. So for her, a wolf was just another Tuesday. While the wild animal was trying to tear the calf apart, the grandma began roaring at it in an attempt to scare it off. But unbeknownst to her, the wolf had rabies. So instead of running away, the beast lunged at the grandma, going straight for her throat. However, she immediately punched the animal in the snout, causing it to bite onto her left hand instead. She tried to open up the wolf's mouth so that she could shove her hand down its throat.
What?
That probably sounds like a random thing to do in this situation, but hunters and herders sometimes use this tactic because apparently larger animals have really bad gag reflexes. Unfortunately for her, however, the wolf's jaws were locked tight, and she wouldn't be able to get them open because it began thrashing her hand around. So instead, she switched gears to her backup plan: punching. She kept on punching and punching and punching the wolf, until it decided to go tear away at her legs. To be fair, she's 56 years old and fighting a wolf, so when the wolf began dragging her by the legs, that's when she realized she needed a weapon, and luckily for her, her trusty axe was nearby. While the wolf was busy munching on her feet, the grandma raised her axe high above her shoulders and split the wolf's head in two. Then she did it again, then she did it one more time for good measure. She was taken to the hospital where remarkably her injuries weren't too severe. If you're a wolf and watching this video, then my advice to you is, don't try to eat Russian grandmas. They're not prey. They're more like Elden Ring bosses. Also, to add to that, don't try to eat these next types of people either. The dad incident. In 2021, a father in Karnataka
Hello.
motorcycle in a forest. As is common in certain regions of India and other countries, the father was riding with his wife on the back.
Let me set up my mic first.
His bike while she carried their. It was nearing nighttime, and after the family finished their work for the day, they were headed back to their village to relax. Their fatigued eyes squinted hard through the rural road they were on together. They tiredly blinked at it again and again until they noticed the motorcycle got heavier. The man's wife looked down at the she was carrying, and in the blink of an eye, she realized that there was now a full-grown leopard biting down on her kid's leg. Yuck. A 160-pound wildcat was latched onto the and trying to run off into the forest with it, all while on a motorcycle. The mother screamed and pulled back her head from the grip of the leopard's teeth, provoking the beast in the process. It quickly pounced and swiped at her in retaliation, prompting the man to increase the speed on his bike so that they could outpace the cat. But unfortunately, his motorcycle wasn't fast enough to escape the animal because it quickly bit onto the leg of his kid again. Out of pure instinct, while still riding the motorcycle, the father began elbowing the leopard to get it off their child. The cat swiped up at him, causing him to crash the vehicle. However, before the leopard could run away with the child, the father grabbed the animal by its throat. Yeah. And while it quickly let go of his kid, the two of them fell into a wrestling match. Leopards are exceptionally lethal predators, with the ability to vertically jump 10 feet into the air and casually drag 200 pounds up into trees with them. There are even videos of leopards plummeting from 300 feet, shaking it off, and continuing to hunt their prey. And here, this 30-something-year-old man was wrestling one with his hands gripped tightly around its throat. The leopard thrashed him around. Its claws tore into his arms, chest, and split his face. But still, he didn't let go, because he knew if he did, it'd slaughter his family. So he did something absolutely insane. Mid-wrestle match, he positioned the leopard into a chokehold with both of his arms. These cats have necks that are thick with muscle designed to support their ability to carry heavy prey up trees. So, honestly, for a human, trying to strangle this wildcat is pretty much like trying to choke out a tree trunk. Neighbors in nearby villages finally heard the commotion from the attack and quickly ran in the direction of the screaming family. But when they arrived, it seemed that they were already late to the party because what they witnessed had everybody in pure disbelief. They saw a man sitting on the floor, covered in blood, and in front of him laid a motionless leopard. Everybody was taken to the hospital for their injuries, and the only casualty of the event was the leopard. The Florida man entered. Everything was normal for a Floridian family on a sunny beach day on July 6th, 2001, Pensacola. A 30-year-old uncle laid back peacefully on his beach towel, tanning in the sun while everyone had fun around him. He sat up to look around and take in the moment. He saw volleyballs being thrown, sandcastles being built, and his 8-year-old nephew getting torn apart by a bull shark in the water. Then he laid back down and relaxed, because life was good. Yeah, no. Upon realizing what he just saw, the man immediately leapt up from his beach towel and began sprinting full speed towards the water. People began screaming, "Shark!" and started running away from the waters, but the uncle was still sprinting towards the bull shark that was actively swimming away with his nephew in its mouth. Bull sharks are one of the, if not the most aggressive shark species on the planet. They weigh anywhere from 200 to 700 pounds. They often hunt in shallow waters and are believed to have the most testosterone of any animal on the entire planet. So what do you think this Florida man did when he finally spotted the bull shark in the water? Well, he leapt on top of it. Yeah. After taking a good look at the 7-foot, 400-pound beast, he jumped on it inside of the water and began punching it in the face to rescue his nephew. Fortunately for both of them, the shark actually let go of the boy. However, it bit off his arm and started swimming off with it in its mouth. Now what do you suppose the Florida man did at this point? He jumped back into action and began wrestling the bull shark underwater for his son's arm. The shark and the man fell into a tug-of-war match where the shark pushed the shark into deeper waters and the uncle tried desperately to pull it back to the shore. The man tugged, twisted, and pulled. The shark was trying to get away, but he didn't let go. But the psychopath literally pulled the shark back onto the beach, then pried its jaws open with his bare hands and ripped his nephew's severed arm out of its mouth. The arm was still intact. A local fisherman on a boat nearby noticed the condition on the beach. He pulled out his rifle and took aim, and in one second, Censio wrestled a bull shark. The paramedics came out his arm and reattached him further. Can't say I expected less from him. Honestly, he wins Uncle again. No reversals. In 2024, a 35-year-old railway worker in India was just trying to get some sleep after a long shift. It was the middle of the night and he was passed out on his bed when he felt something crawling up his leg. He woke up and saw a snake. But not just any snake, an extraordinarily venomous one that was assumed to be a crate or a cobra, some of the deadliest reptiles on the planet. He stared at the snake. It stared back. He continued staring, and so did the snake. And then it finished. Now, most people would have panicked, called for help, and maybe tried driving toward a nearby hospital. This is exactly different. Something was driving snatched before the snake could slither away, grab the animal with their hands, and he did it. Yeah, multiple times. He chomped down the venomous snake to end the lives of 20 humans with a single bite. It tried wriggling at it, munched on it like a Later on, the man was rushed to the hospital and given an antivenom so that he could recover from the bite. He later on told reporters that, in some parts of India, there's a superstition that biting a snake transfers the venom back to the animal, so that it'll pass away instead of you. So, who knows? Maybe the superstition actually worked, or maybe he just needed an excuse for his revenge. He was a 69-year-old Alaskan hunter, and on November 1st, 1999, he was out in the wilderness doing what he'd done for decades. Hunting. He knew the woods, and more importantly, he knew how to handle himself. Him and 3 other hunters set out to catch a black-tailed deer, but due to the windy weather, it was extraordinarily hard to sneak up on one. So they split up into groups of 2. Later on, after hunting for what felt like hours, the man and his partner became frustrated because they still hadn't caught the deer. So he came up with a plan. He told his partner to split up with him
To
and
use
said,
summons, spirit ashes, in Elden Ring, you must acquire the spirit calling bell from Renner at the Church of Hela. Equip a summon to your quick items, then press the item button when a white, glowing tombstone icon appears on the left side of your screen, indicating you are near strong enemies or bosses. Steps to summon spirits. 1. Obtain the bell. After getting your mount, Torrent, from Melina, return to the Church of Hela at night to meet Renner, who gifts you the spirit calling bell. 2. Equip ashes. Go to your equipment or pouch menu and assign a spirit ash, e.g., Lone Wolf ashes, to your quick items. 3. Check availability. A white, glowing monument icon will appear on the bottom left of your screen. This indicates you are in a valid area to summon, usually in boss rooms, dungeon areas, or near tough enemies.
This way, Tarnished. May I have a word? A pleasure to meet thee, Tarnished. I am the witch Renna. I'd heard tell of a Tarnished hurtling about atop a spectral steed, and upon looking into the matter, the talk, I surmise, is of thee. Thou art possessed of the power, no? To call forth a spectral steed named Torrent. As I had hoped, I was entrusted this for thee, by Torrent's former master. 'Tis a bell for calling forth spirits. Summon them with it. From ash and return to the Erdtree, the spirits will obey thine command but briefly, as they recall battles past. Now it is thine, to do with as thou wishest. Forgive mine intrusion, Tarnished. I doubt we shall again meet. How long will it be, I wonder, before the Tarnished tire of obeisance to the two fingers?
In Elden Ring, you do not need to directly equip the spirit calling bell itself. It is a key item that activates automatically. Instead, you must equip a spirit ash, e.g., Lone Wolf Ashes, in your consumable quick item slot. Use the ash to summon spirits, provided you are near a rebirth monument, indicated by a white tombstone icon on the left of the screen. How to equip and use spirits. 1. Obtain the bell, receive it from Rena the witch.
If I let out a shot, you come to my noise. But if you let out a shot, then I'll come to your noise. His partner nodded in agreement, but the only issue is that his partner was also wearing a heavy-duty hat with thick ear flaps that muffled the sound of pretty much everything outside. The man split up from his teammate, and within just a bit, he found the deer they were trying to hunt all day. He took aim, marking a successful hunt for him and his crew. He waited for his partner to come, but it didn't happen. He began hooting like an owl a few times to draw attention, but his partner still didn't show up. The man rolled his eyes in annoyance, took off his rifle, and put it beside a tree. He then decided to butcher the deer meat by himself. And after cutting away at it for a while, the man heard a twig snap behind him. Feeling relieved that his partners finally showed up, he turned around to greet his crew. A brown bear stands at about 10 feet tall, weighs about 1,000 pounds, and runs as fast as a car on a street. Unfortunately for this man, it wasn't his crew members that showed up, but instead, the bear. The hunter froze when he saw it. The distance between the two of them was about 30 feet away, and the distance between him and his rifle was only 2 feet. But the bear let out a roar, and it charged at him so fast that it was impossible for him to even think about trying to grab that weapon. He only had one option available, his buck knife. He dropped his deer meat and quickly grabbed the blade from his pocket, and right as he pulled it out, the man-beast was already right in front of him. The hunter aimed to slash at the bear's open mouth, but he missed and accidentally sliced its face instead. He only had one option available, his buck knife. He dropped his deer meat and quickly grabbed the blade from his pocket, and right as he pulled it out, the man-beast was already right in front of him. The hunter aimed to slash at the bear's open mouth, but he missed and accidentally sliced its face instead. Angering the bear, it crushed his arm with its teeth, tearing off his skin and exposing his bone. The hunter screamed in pain, and the full-grown bear pushed him down to the ground, pinning him into a death grip. While it twisted away at the hunter's arm, he quickly used his free hand to try to poke the bear's eye out with his thumb. But it began thrashing him around, causing him to miss continuously. The man switched gears and instead took his finger and jammed it deep into the bear's ear canal, rupturing its eardrum. The beast let go of him and recoiled in confusion and annoyance. It then let out another 100 to 120 decibel roar and charged at the hunter again. The man was still on his back, so he desperately kicked the bear square in the throat, making it stumble as he hopelessly scrambled back to his feet. He was covered in blood, an arm that was completely mangled, and a bear that was charging at him again, finishing off for good. The man's mind raced, and his thoughts became a blurry panic. He was actually getting eaten alive by a bear, and he was running out of options for survival. Acting quickly, he fell onto his butt and stretched out his leg to use it as bait as the bear tied onto to be distracted. This would prove to be a terrible decision, because instead of just biting the lower end of his leg, it actually chomped down on his thigh, giving it complete control over his entire body. The bear began to shake the man, thrashing his body around and bashing his skull on the floor, nearby trees or rocks, causing serious damage. The hunter couldn't see a single thing. His ears gotten blocked from the extreme trauma he was suffering, losing consciousness. Nonetheless, his adrenaline gave him enough energy to power through the bear's thrashing, and plow his buck knife countless times into the beast's thick, furry neck. The bear dropped the man and backed away as it bled from its neck with his knife stuck in it. The man stood up on one foot with his body exposed, showing both muscle and bone, but he fell into a delirium and began screaming at the bear. Reports mentioned that he began desperately shouting something to the lines of "God is on my side" or "The Lord is with me." The bear charged at him again, and with one good arm, he punched the bear square in the snout repeatedly, causing the disoriented animal to collapse on the ground. The hunter collapsed on the ground with the bear, then quickly scrambled to his feet to grab his rifle. Each time he stood up, he fell. But finally, he got to his weapon. At this point, his vision was blurry, his eyes were covered in blood, his hearing was muffled, and he was on the brink of passing out. He stood over the bear's body with his weapon, aimed it at the bear, and then tried to shoot it. However, nothing happened. He quickly looked at his rifle and realized the flesh hanging off of his body had jammed the bear began groaning and slowly getting up again. He tirelessly pulled the flesh out, then aimed the weapon at the bear again. He was victorious, but then he immediately collapsed to the ground. The man could barely stand. He dragged himself across the snowy forest until he reached the beach. Sticks and branches tore at his already mangled body as he crawled. Each time he was about to lose consciousness from the sheer amount of pain he was in, he'd quickly grab a chunk of ice-cold snow and shove it into his mouth to shock him back awake. When he made it to the snowy beach, he finally saw his team. Horrified with what they saw, they ran to the man's disfigured body to help him out. Drenched in blood, the only thing the man said before passing out is please. This is the story of Gene Moe, an Alaskan huntsman. After receiving multiple skin grafts and about 1,000 stitches, he survived and made a full recovery from this nightmare. And despite the trauma, Gene kept...
You cannot summon Battlemage Hooger in Elden Ring primarily due to higher costs, lack of a rebirth monument, or insufficient her. Hooger requires 122 FP, making it a heavy investment, so ensure you have enough or a flask that allows for temporary zero consumption. This video shows you how to tell when you are in a location that allows for summoning. Here are the specific reasons you might not be able to summon him. 1. Insufficient you need a high mind stat to summon him, as he requires 122 3. Already summoned, you can only summon one spirit type per fight and cannot use them in multiplayer, according to user discussions. And 4. Equip location, ensure the ashes are properly equipped in your quick use item slots. Hooger is a potent spirit, but he is a high cost summon, as discussed in
on hunting well into his 70s. He credited his survival to God, and he would go on to live a full life till 2024, where he passed away peacefully at 93. The wilderness is extraordinarily dangerous, but honestly, the moral of today's story is, don't mess with Russian grandmas, don't mess with Florida men, and especially don't mess with any Alaskan Christian dudes that have a bear hanging up on their wall. Now, go and have a happy day.
Alright, so a few days ago I made a video on this guy named Dean the Great, who pretty much just had like the worst 48 hours ever. And if you don't know who this guy is or what's going on, basically he's like this boxer, streamer, influencer guy who did a live stream with this guy named Larry Wheels, and he flirted with his wife on camera and got fucking disciplined. Like, oh my god, look at the slap.
This my shit.
Here's the full clip in case you guys haven't seen that.
No, don't do no. Whoa.
I know we're streaming and shit.
No, hey, bro, don't disrespect the king like that. You know why?
She a queen, though.
Listen. Whoa. I know we streaming. You gotta chill.
We got chill. I know we streaming, nigga.
She a
You drunk?
queen, though.
Hey, honey your liquor, nigga. I know we streaming, but honey your shit.
His
Come
wife
on.
up for grabs.
Hey, he's been mad disrespectful. Hey, did you get that?
This.
What are you doing with your hands? Listen.
You ready from 200 Griffith?
But either way, after that, fast forward maybe like 12 hours. But
What are you doing with your hands? Listen.
You ready from 200 Griffith?
But either way, after that, fast forward maybe like 12 hours. Dean the Grey is at another party, and and gets punched again.
Let me show you the inside of the house.
No, I'll make you another clip. Don't do that. Seriously? Don't do that.
This my shit.
Alright. Come on, cuz.
Now, to give you guys some context, basically, this guy was the manager of Rampage Jackson, another streamer that Dean the Great was, streaming with. And for some reason, he decided to just disrespect the shit out of him, and that's why he got smacked.
This my shit.
But either way, you would probably assume that after getting punched twice in less than 24 hours that, you can't get much worse. But it does in fact get much worse, because Dean the Great then bought a brand new car at the dealership, and as he was driving out, it broke. The fucking roof just fell off.
What the fuck is that noise?
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that this guy cannot be great. Originally I made that video kind of clowning him, making fun of him for just, being embarrassing and short, but I just feel bad at this point, dude. Like, damn. But regardless, even though I was making fun of Dean the Great and shit, my main point of that video was the fact that it was all just for marketing. Like, even though Dean the Great completely embarrassed himself and made himself look like an idiot, everyone's talking about it. He just gained a shit ton of followers, he's gone super viral, and no publicity is bad publicity, I guess. And then I talked about how Rampage Jackson and Larry Wheels, the other two streamers that were with him, they were the real winners of this whole situation, because they also got all the fame and the clout and the views and the clicks, but they didn't embarrass themselves. They looked good in this situation. They simply, Larry Wheels just stood up for his wife, and Rampage Jackson kind of just existed, and laughed at Dean the Great. But regardless, basically what I'm saying is that these two are the winners, and this guy's the loser, because he was the comedic relief of the fucking viral moment. But in today's video, we're not focusing on Dean the Great or Rampage Jackson. Today we're focusing on Larry Wheels, because this is where the tables turn. Like I just said, Larry Wheels went super viral for slapping a dude who was flirting with his wife. I would honestly argue that is one of the best reasons that ever go viral. But for some reason, Larry Wheels decided to not keep up this momentum, and instead actually went the complete opposite direction and took a page out of our little friend Adam. Instead of being the big black dude who slapped a guy for flirting with his wife, he is now the big black dude who's completely whipped by his wife.
Someone's saying for you to break Marlon. Yeah, that streamer that. Yeah.
I'll rate you.
Basically, Larry Wheels started streaming with his wife a lot more, and pretty much just showed the entire internet why you never bring your family members into, your content career. Because ever since then, people have made countless videos, analyzing their relationship and, what she's doing and who she's looking at, blah, blah, blah.
As you can see, she has her eyes on Rampage. She's checking him out, hanging on every word, looking at him, gazing down, looking at her lips, looking back at him.
Now, I'm not gonna lie, that video is low-key really weird and kind of gay. But regardless, after watching more and more videos about Larry Wheels and his wife, the people do have kind of a point. Basically, people are saying that Larry Wheels is kind of just like a pushover cuck who's absolutely whipped by his wife. And they say that because not only does he get blatantly disrespected by his wife on screen multiple times, but she's also just kind of a fucking bum, She doesn't have a job. She's kind of just like Larry Wheels' wife. And he has openly admitted to giving her a $50,000 allowance per month.
How much did she cost? We already said allowance $50K a month.
Alright, so first of all, before I say anything, what the fuck was that laugh? Did you hear that Kawhi Leonard-ass laugh? But regardless, if you can spend $50K on your wife a month and you want to do that, by all means do that. Now, that's your money, you can do whatever you want. But, when your wife is on stream, openly flirting with other fucking dudes, disrespecting you, doing this, doing that, it's just like, damn, bro. Like, really? They also went on stream together to kind of talk about this whole thing, and that's when people found out they didn't have a prenup, and they were just like, damn.
Somebody else.
Prenup mandatory. Fuck that.
Yeah, that's fine.
So y'all got one, right? You got one?
No prenup.
No, you got no prenup?
Nah, trust my wife.
Damn, bruh.
In there saying I'm cooked.
But would you have signed one though?
I'm lucky my bank account won't back.
Man, fuck all that.
So basically, her and Larry Wheels don't have a prenup, and she also wouldn't have signed them because it's apparently controlling to get a prenup. It's controlling to keep all of your assets and not give 50% away to your wife and you fucking divorce them. And to make matters even worse, she's openly said that if Larry Wheels was broke, that she would not have dated him because, you know, he needs the money. Like, what?
If he goes broke, you still loving him? Yes, I am still loving him. But if he goes broke, imagine he wouldn't be here.
And to make matters even more worse, because somehow they're still getting worse, a video resurfaced of Larry Wheels proposing to his wife, and she had like little to no reaction. Now listen, okay, I'm not gonna sit here and act like there's a right way that you're supposed to react to when getting proposed to, but like, I don't know, man, she didn't even stand up. She didn't even, like, again, everyone processes their emotions differently, but it's like, dude, you just got proposed to by the alleged love of your life. You know, you think you'd be a little bit more excited, right? This seems more like the reaction of someone who just secured financial freedom, rather than, you know, spending the rest of their life with the person they love. But either way, like I said before, a lot of people on the internet have been, like, analyzing this relationship, making whole, like, fucking breakdown videos about her, like, flirting on stream.
I want you to pay attention to the amount of time she's playing with her hair, adjusting her bra to get the curls out just a little bit more.
Now, to be honest, when I first saw those videos, I honestly thought they were, like, really brain rot and stupid and honestly kind of creepy. Like, what the fuck, dude? What are we doing here, bro? And I honestly thought that calling Larry Wheels a cuck is honestly kind of, you know, harsh because, like, he's just a rich dude with an ungrateful wife. That's just an unfortunate situation. Doesn't make him a cuck. But then I saw this clip right here where they talk about how allegedly they might not be able to have children. And this is what the wife has to say.
Wait, but so can y'all have kids or no?
We don't know.
Oh, give me a hug, brother. Come on.
I said we might need a donor.
Huh?
I said we might need a. He said we might need a donor. So
A donor?
I said maybe The Rock because he looks like him.
Like, what? Hello? What? Can you imagine being Larry Wheels? You're 6 foot, 300 pounds of lean fucking muscle. You're rich as shit. You have a hot wife.
I am of
but you can't have kids. And she's talking about,
like
yo, let's get Dwayne The Rock Johnson. The
This is my aim 6 months ago.
Goodbye. Nice to do.
Feet. 8, 9, 10. Straight.
Wait, well, you're back. The howl of a wolf in the mistwood. I suppose it's still stalking about. And for yourself, next time you hear the wolf's howl, look this sickle right under the source. Oh, don't fret. There is nothing to fear. I just have an inkling the two of you. You know, if you can spare the runes, you should buy yourself a crafting kit. The crafting kit allows you to make basic items on your own. Essential, really. The kit costs a bundle, and I admit I do take money, but the important thing is that you survive. Every customer counts. You know, if you can spare them, you should buy yourself a craft essential. The kit costs of the import. There are others of my people who yet survive in these lands. If the mood takes you when you meet one, then offer them some trade, won't you? My people, wanderers all have long been spurned by the grace of which is why we cannot settle, but instead are forced into this pitiful, unceasing, but thanks to that. Things are not so different for us now, though the Elden Ring is shattered. I think this makes us kindred spirits of sorts. Your people, the Tarnished, and mine. Perhaps you don't read, see that we have a saying, we wanderers.
I'm not gonna talk about that. Hmm. Hmm.
Elden Ring is known for difficult bosses, but one boss pushed that beyond all expectations. From Software created a boss so brutal that even veteran players were stuck. The community began to ask the question, is this boss too difficult? Until one Tarnished changed everything. Wearing nothing but a pot on his head, this player became a symbol of hope for the lands between. His name? Let Me Solo. The main feature of Elden Ring, the driving force of the game, is the bosses. Every time you fight a new boss, you will die. You will suffer. But through that suffering, through those attempts, you learn and grow. You will have mistakes different fights. You will lose the second phase, and eventually, you will kill the boss. With my mindset, I explore the lands between, killing bosses and watching your videos, so I pretend I understand the story. But then I came across a boss. I came across a boss that will define the boss that I couldn't beat. I'll be honest, I have never beaten this fight. I saw it lose 200 meters. This fight isn't just hard, it's the pinnacle of Elden Ring software. Millennia is fast. Very fast. Now, that in itself isn't too much of an issue. You can just try to attack pans. But when they all start the same way, you'll be dodging more for instinct than from memory. She won't kill you from one hit, but she will from a combo. And if you get hit by any attack in the combo, the rest will follow. So you could just block her attacks then. Well, every time she hits you, even through a block or summoned ally, she will heal back some of her missing health. After days, weeks even of this single fight, she's finally down to 1%. One last hit, and it's over. Not only does she move faster and more aggressive, she spreads rot around the arena. The attack rots her. In fact, you suffer a lingering poison. Listen, use this. And just when things fine, she brings out the We are used to difficult fights. Hard bosses are why we play the game, but some players feel that Millennia is too RNG based, too random, too unfair. Souls games have an unspoken rule: no matter how hard a boss is,
it's always fair. If you put in the attempts, if you put in the effort, you will succeed. So when Malenia performs the waterfowl dance midway through your attack, it makes some players feel that Malenia is just too much. One player struggled and suffered to the point of breaking. He desperately wanted to take out his own, but he just couldn't. After 20 to 30 attempts, getting to around 6 times, I decided I would try summoning and rushing a few others and just give it up. So I popped the finger on my encouraged the players inside the place. It was a man, well nothing to look sharp on his head with 2 katanas. His name was Let Me Solo. I considered it easy, but I was curious, and who am I to deny him his right? Flawed after all my attempts to shoot. I definitely didn't kill Malenia, but either way she and you can kill, even if you never see it myself. When fighting a boss, you can choose to summon a random player online for help. 3 years ago, if you fought Malenia with a summoned ally, you had a chance to meet Let Me Solo Her. Without a word, he appears and heads toward Malenia as you watch on. Let's not forget, when summoning an ally, the boss's health increases proportionately, so this Malenia is even harder. He has taken down Malenia over 400 times. When asked about his lack of armor, he said, "Why wear armor if you don't plan on getting hit?" In a world where most aspire to fame, Let Me Solo Her hides his identity with a pot on his head. Sometimes, kindness has no cost. Elden Ring tried to bury the player in suffering, but this Tarnished had other plans. Reports of Let Me Solo Her flooded the internet from all around the world. Players who simply couldn't complete this fight praised the kind stranger who came to their rescue. Some even took it upon themselves to continue the tradition, adopting his iconic attire and lending a hand to those in need. Elden Ring can bring out the best in people, but it can also bring out the worst. Imitators of Let Me Solo Her were found to be bailing on people, leaving players mid-fight after failing themselves. The Master section reinforced the mystery of the truth. Who is Let Me Solo Her? Earlier in the video I said, it took someone on YouTube 2 years. This someone was Let Me Solo Her. He was a Tarnished just like you or me. He struggled and suffered for over 100 hours before his first takedown of Malenia. Let Me Solo Her isn't some glitch, some video game legend who was born with great. Attempt after attempt, death after death, he also found himself stuck on this boss. There was a point in time where Let Me Solo Her was even worse than the players he would go on to help. In an interview for IGN, he said it's because he struggled so much, because he suffered, he wanted to prove to others that it was not impossible. Elden Ring teaches players that victory only comes after suffering. Let Me Solo Her simply took that lesson further than anyone else. He suffered, he learned, and then he returned to the lands between, not to conquer Malenia again, but to help others do the same. Imagine logging onto a live stream thinking that you're supporting this soft, innocent, aesthetic-looking girl, donating your rent money, practically your life savings, and suddenly, wait, is that your grandma? Not only that, but if you donate $100,000 to her stream, she'll go on a coffee date with you. I mean, what a bargain. That is a steal of a price. This is the story of how a single PNG image created and destroyed a multi-million-dollar career in just the span of one live stream. Strongest catfisher of the modern age. This girl's name is Tiao Bilo. Born around 1990 in a small hometown village in China, she was a very soft-spoken, shy, gentle girl who had dreams of becoming an English teacher, choosing the quiet and peaceful endings. But somewhere along the way, she realized, wait, this is good. And like any sane person, she started working part-time at PNG, founded viral, which later went bankrupt because, well, the Chinese live streaming industry is a free-for-all pretty much. If you're not top 1%, you're dust. So Tiao Bilo had to leave. Eventually, she starts live streaming. Well, that's wrap. Actually, around this time, live streaming in China was popping up. So everybody and their grandma, I know, ironic, was live streaming. She registers on Douyu with the kind of name that you'd be using in the Qing dynasty. Your Highness, Tiao Bilo. The setup was calculated to the pixel. PNG image over her face with the game style face reveal. Her voice, a cute, high-pitched, sweet, soft girl voice. Essentially the kind of voice that makes lonely dudes start imagining futures that don't exist. The she's not like the other girls voice. And here's where you start getting a little bit of an ick from her. She leaned hard into that shy, pretty girl act, calling her mainly male audience brothers or little boys and getting all embarrassed when people complimented her. Like, oh my god, stop, you're embarrassing me, Xiaoge. And pretty much letting her fans crown her as Princess, Your Majesty, Your Highness. She didn't show her face, but she wasn't stupid. She strategically showed a little cleavage here and there to tease her chat at times. Not enough to get banned, but just enough to keep them in their parasocial state. On her personal social media, she posted selfies. And these selfies showed a cute, youthful girl with pigtails, smooth skin, essentially the full East Asia beauty checklist. And she never confirmed if these selfies were fake, nor confirmed if they were real. She just let that fantasy marinate. And the more she refused to do a face reveal, the more fans obsessed over it. Come on, show your face, just once. It's not gonna hurt. And Tiao said, fine. Only if donations hit 100,000 yuan, so $15,000. And for some extra spice to the sauce, one single person can donate all $15,000 to her, and they will receive a special one-on-one guide. Instead of one person doing it alone, all her fans coordinate. Small donations, but a big dream. Boys, huddle up. We're doing this together. Within weeks, she skyrocketed to Douyu's top 20 with nearly 100,000 followers. Her monthly income was reportedly around 100,000. She received off platform. And the top donor, the legendary sinner, our brother, our victim, Brother Hao, dropped 100,000 yuan directly on her alone. Brother Hao, did you even think this was okay? Whenever fans asked to meet her offline, she joked, sure, 100,000 yuan. You know, everybody laughed, except she was dead serious. People like Brother Hao genuinely thought they were part of something special, something intimate, something romantic even. But it wasn't quite the perfect parasocial experience yet, because there's one thing we haven't seen yet. This whole reputation was pretty much a ticking time bomb for her, because all it took was one software glitch. So it's late at night, July 23rd, 2019. Tiao Bilo is doing a PK stream, which is basically a dual live stream where two streamers hop in the room and compete for donations. She's paired with another Douyu streamer, Ni Tingze. We'll just call her Ni. This was a normal collab, and Tiao is doing her usual thing. Sweet voice, flirty with her hands, covering her face, and squeezing every possible donation from the guys. Then it happens. Her PNG image, her entire career, her whole defense system, gone, vanished, glitched out of reality. And what replaces it? A middle-aged woman looking like you're on Tai Chi at a local park. In this moment here, time was frozen. The chat went dead silent. And for a second, everybody was just in a state of shock. She looked a lot more round. Okay, I'm not trying to be mean here or anything, but like, you know, when you look at the before and after, it's just not quite what we expected. Everybody is just mentally buffering, like, wait, Is this a filler? Am I hallucinating? They were just experiencing the 5 stages of grief now.
Thou the true born heir. Lend me thy strength,
And here's the craziest part. She doesn't notice at all. Tiao is
Deliver
just
me
talking like
unto
everything's normal. She
greater
kept talking to
heights.
Mimi about how to use face covering software, and she kept bragging about, oh, I'm like a very cute, pretty face streamer. That's why I have a lot of fans, and this is why I make so much money. Deadass saying people like her because of her looks.
A lowly tarnished. Playing as a lord. I command thee, kneel! I am the lord of all that is golden. Unfit even to graft.
And flexing her pretty privilege. All my viewers love me because I'm cute, and you should learn from me. Maybe you should try hiding your face sometime. Absolute cinema. Chinese Nessens were brutal. One of them even joked how inspiration the story was of an old woman starting a side hustle. And Tiao, still clueless, still flirting with her chat, still being like, you boys are so naughty for wanting to see my body. And still glancing at that donation leaderboard like nothing's wrong. Except something clearly was wrong, because her top donor, Brother Hao, vanished. The man who dropped 100,000 yuan went offline. That right there should have been her biggest jump scare, but nope, she kept going. And at this moment, Mimi can see everything. At first she thought this was a special effect. She even asked something like, how did you do this? I want to be a man. Joking that it's probably some kind of old person filter. Then she realizes, oh no, this is not a filter.
The gates are
It's
open.
reality.
It's only
And to her credit, Mimi actually does try to save her. She awkwardly hints that her software might be using a different filter to make people look older. And she doesn't act surprised or laugh at all. She just had a neutral face. This might be one of the top 5 lock-ins of all time.
我们玩啥？我玩那个我们要不要唱歌也行，我会唱歌。
It finally clicks in Tiao's head that something is wrong. And instead of shutting down the stream instantly like any sane person would, no. She goes to the worst possible strategy, lying in real time. She grabs onto the filter excuse and runs with it. Oh, it's making me look old. Technology, am I right? The stream ends shortly after and Mimi instantly deletes the entire VOD. But too late, because clips were all over social media at that point. Within hours, memes of her multiplied everywhere on Weibo and Douyu. She's called auntie, grandma, princess old lady. It was everywhere. And Brother Hao later did an interview, and you know what he said? He said he couldn't sleep because every time he closed his eyes, he would see her face. Bro got psychological damage from a live stream, alright? This is how you know it's serious. Instead of disappearing, apologizing, or even going silent for a bit, Tiao comes back swinging, with excuses after excuses, changing hourly like she's adapting to every accusation. First, she posts heavily edited selfies and videos trying to restore her image. People pointed that out, so instead she says she was actually sick that night on the live stream, and her 58-year-old grandmother was filling in for her. So her grandma was able to perfectly mimic her voice and mannerisms. They must have had a really close relationship. Then she says, no, it was actually all under corrupt PR teams fabricated the hype. She's the victim. We're playing chess, not checkers. Then within a day, she returns to streaming and says the entire thing was a joke, a prank. She claimed that she intentionally downloaded software to make herself look older because she had a stalker at the time and she wanted to look unattractive to push him away. Which, okay, but then why did you have to lie and panic? Then she flashes a heavily edited photo on stream with the caption, brothers, please don't. I'll stop covering my face. I'll even show my body. So netizens start digging, and oh boy do they dig. They discovered that the selfie she posted was actually stolen from another influencer. It was literally just photoshopped and retouched. And former fans even came out saying that she directly messaged them on WeChat, demanding money like they owed it to her. And knowing Tiao at this point, instead of apologizing, she doubles down. She and her mysterious team tried to sell her live streaming IP and her account for like 500,000 yuan. And the cherry on top? She switches up on Mimi. Switching up on your day ones now, I see. She accuses her of orchestrating the entire incident for fun. She was scheming everything from the start. During the live stream, she somehow hacked into my PC to disable the PNG underlink. I don't know how she did it, but it's her fault. Even though anyone with eyes can see that Mimi was trying to help. So, on August 1st, Douyu releases an official statement. After investigating, they concluded that the entire incident was a publicity stunt orchestrated by Tiao Bilo. Then, for spreading false information, she gets permanently banned. The same day, the Chinese Association of Performing Arts Network put her on an industry blacklist, a 5-year ban. I mean, doing something so bad to get you blacklisted on Chinese social media is a feat of itself. Now, Tiao is pretty much done for. But with her last breath, with her last sprint, she tries to platform hop. First Huya, she gets banned immediately. Then Billy, she opens up a new ID, still faceless, still the same old tricks. And in 1 hour, she climbs to the 9th place of the popularity chart. That's just how broken the system was. But then 2 hours later, she got banned for false identity verification. And netizens immediately found out that the picture was stolen once again. So she then tries Twitch with her usual BB features, of course, and only 11 people were streaming. Global expansion failed, I guess. I mean, this entire stream lasted like an hour on the same window, and she only showed her face for like a single minute. At this point, she's fully exiled from all streaming platforms, so she tries a rebrand. She drops a documentary-style comeback video embracing her grandma nickname, pretty much talking about cyberbullying and the depression she suffered from the scandal, like positioning herself as the victim. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, we deplatform you. Eventually, she just nukes all of her accounts and disappears, or at least most. Some say she vanished completely, and others said that she repurposed her new nicknames, posting life updates. Either way, Your Highness Tiao Bilo as a brand was finally dead. So yeah, this entire operation was a wild ride. I mean, stolen photos and personalities entirely built to farm parasocial relationships. Even having one guy drop 100,000 yuan alone, like, I don't know how she couldn't feel guilty throughout all of this. So yeah, if there's one takeaway, actually, if you'll excuse me, I think I'm just gonna head to the local park and gather maybe 10 to 15 Chinese aunties, put them together in a group, and start my own live streaming business.
That's so fucking stupid. Empty ship. Hả Popo? Hả? Đi đi không à? job.